Pop quiz, hotshot. What do Loverboy, the American labor unions of the 1930s, and every backup dancer who's ever spoken out on behalf of the Me Too movement have in common? Give up? What is right to work? How does it affect unions? How does it affect you? Let's do this. Missouri faces a critical vote on August 7th. This vote determines whether Missouri will stay a right-to-work state, and it's come to my attention that a lot of people have no clue what right-to-work is. That's where I come in. Guys, this really is important. This vote will drastically affect everyone that you know, and you need to know what's going on. Why? Here's a list of reasons. When you find something you like having, stay tuned. To really understand what right to work is, you have to really understand what a union is and what it does for you. Not union members, you. For those of you with absolutely no idea, a union is a group of workers with a common interest, namely taking care of workers. They use a thing called collective bargaining, acting as one body in negotiations with employers for things like better pay, working conditions, workers' rights, benefits, etc.
Girl, I got stole about $17,500 away from me a year.
Nobody is gonna be a slave. Oh, no. They have to give me the benefits back.
If they feel an employer is unreasonably denying labor something, they can react in various ways, up to and including a workers' strike. Back in ye olde and shitty days, an employer could make up any rules he wanted. And yeah, he live with it. He could, for example, say that you get no days off, ever. You got sick, tough titties, get back to work. And you can forget about bonuses and 401k. Oh, you just had a baby? Congratulations! You can see him again when he's 6 and he starts working here for free. If you didn't like the employment structure, you didn't work for that person. Simple as that. Then unions came about and work became a paradise. Relatively speaking. As time went on, the sense of joining a group of workers who collectively fight for better pay and working conditions became more and more obvious to more and more people. In fact, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, in his first term as president, passed pro-union legislation left and right. It's part of that New Deal you always hear about. He gave workers the right to form unions, he permitted the establishment of standards regarding maximum hours of labor, minimum rates of pay, and working conditions. Another act required employers to deal with any union supported by the majority of its employees.
In our day, certain economic proofs have become accepted as self-evident. A second Bill of Rights, under which a new basis of security and prosperity can be established for all, regardless of station or race or creed. Among these are the right to a useful and remunerative job, the right to earn enough to provide adequate food and clothing and recreation, the right of every farmer to raise and sell his products at a return which will give him and his family a decent living, the right of every family to a decent home, the right to adequate medical care and the opportunity to achieve and enjoy good health, the right to adequate protection from the economic fears of old age, sickness, accident, and unemployment, the right to a good education. All of these rights spell security. We must be prepared to move forward in the implementation of these rights to new goals of human happiness and well-being.
Under Roosevelt, companies could choose what kind of union shop they wanted to be. This is important, so dude, listen up. They could be a closed shop where workers must join a union shop where workers must join a union within a certain time frame, an agency shop where workers don't have to join but get the benefits of union representation and must pay for said representation, which is less than full membership, or an open shop where workers can be union or non-union and no dues are required for non-union employees. And just in case you forgot, FDR is the president that the average American likes so much they elected him 4 times. That is incredible. We can barely stand our current leaders for 2 terms. We could never get behind somebody like that. Not even when Dwayne Johnson inevitably runs. That said though, Rock and Sock 2024. Things were going great for workers. The people were taken care of. Companies were making just a little less than optimal profit, all thanks to unions. So of course they immediately set out to kill him. Almost immediately after Roosevelt passed away and Harry S. Truman preceded him, Congress passed the Taft-Hartley Act over Truman's veto. The act outlawed closed shops and allowed states to outlaw the other forms of union protection. This is the right-to-work law that we're voting on. So, just to recap, Congress literally had to start taking away workers' rights over FDR's dead body. No wonder people liked him so much. Even with the establishment of right to work, people still wanted to be part of a group that looked out for one another. That trend continued until Reagan came in and wrecked unions by refusing to uphold the laws protecting them. This is when union membership finally started to decline, and since then, union membership has been cut in half. Finally, unions are so weak their opponents can start reaping what they sowed all those decades ago. The whole point of right to work is to weaken unions' bargaining power. Union jobs are good jobs. They statistically pay better, have better benefits, and they go to bat for you when the company would rather see your sweaty butt imprint on the glass door. Now, if you're a young person with a brand new baby, you're going to want that primo position, but you're going to want as fat a check as you can get, too. So you're not going to love the idea of paying union dues, especially when you already get all the perks. Same as if you don't understand how unions work, or if you're just a douche. The more non-union employees filling a labor pool, the less threat unions pose. When there are enough non-union employees to weather a storm, the boss is free to do virtually whatever they like.
If you were in my toilet bowl, I wouldn't bother flushing it. Do you hear any complaints when I do this? These pencils more important. These pens more important. These paper clips more important. You miserable little crybaby! You don't like it here, leave!
Including calling the union's bluff. Hell, at that point, they would probably love a walkout. Then they'd be free to get rid of the union altogether.
We are in a global competition for jobs, and today we say Missouri's going to win that competition, so let's get to work.
Missouri wasn't a right-to-work state until February 6th, 2017. On that date, Governor Greitens signed into law the bill without running it past Missouri citizens. But then I don't need to tell you that Eric Greitens isn't one to ask for permission. The bill was voted on by the state Senate without any actual representation of the will of the people. Sure, the Missouri Senate is elected, but let's be serious for a minute. When the only people making donations to these senators greater than their salary are the only people who stand to benefit from a right-to-work law, or hell, when the company and the senator are one and the same, you know which way the wind's gonna blow. After the bill's passage, a petition was gathered to give the people the choice of whether to keep it. Now you have the chance to vote on whether it should be illegal to require someone to support the union if they're going to work in a position that's union managed. Here's why you should care. If you or anyone you know has ever had a job in this country, you owe American unions. That's it. If you have any kind of job whatsoever, you owe them. Are you an African American? A Hispanic American? A vaginal American? Even if you do make less than your white male counterparts, you'd still be making a fraction of that if it weren't for unions out there fighting for fair wages and equal pay. You like knowing that you can't get fired for reckless and irresponsible acts like getting cancer, right? You can thank them for that too. Shit, if you like getting an hourly wage, you should probably tip your cat to the unions. Everything that's the least bit tolerable about your job is due to the advocacy of unions. Literally every perk you take for granted exists because labor unions have at some point fought for them in their workplaces, and over the years they became standard. You don't have to belong to a union to enjoy the benefits of their existence, but you do have to allow them to exist. Work in the US is a long way from ideal. In other parts of the world, employees enjoy benefits that would turn you socialist. In some countries, parents enjoy up to 2 years of paid maternity leave. Per birth! Some places have free education to advance in your career. Wages are high enough to survive while a full-time job is only 30 hours per week. We need unions to keep fighting for progress in the workplace. And now let's look to the future. I see great change coming. Of course, you don't need me to tell you that. This country was built on industry, but now other countries are coming up in the world using the same model, often undercutting our cost of production. And that's actually all right. As work becomes more sophisticated, so should labor. We'll always need manual labor pools like construction, but America's future lies in science and technology. And do you want to end up with a crippled spine and crippled hands because you've been forced to sit over a cheap, poorly designed desk without any breaks for 8 hours a day, 1/3 of your life, unable to sleep and slowly creeping up on 400 pounds? We'd be a nation of internet trolls. A bigger one. We'll always need unions to fight for better working conditions, to force corporations to invest in their employees rather than treat them as nothing more than tools to be discarded when they outlive their usefulness. It's obviously a tight wire act, ensuring workers have everything they deserve while keeping employers incentivized to keep the work over here rather than ship it somewhere cheaper, but the government has tools for doing just that, and getting rid of the only piece advocating on behalf of the workers pushes us off that tightrope all the same. Listen, you don't want to join a union? Don't apply for a union job. But if you enjoy anything about your job beyond showing up and working, you owe them your support. Take the time this August 7th to get to the polls and vote no on Proposition 8. Let the Missouri government know that you do not support screwing yourself over, because you don't. And that's why you gotta give a fuck.
Go down and join the union. You got to join it by yourself.